Assemblyman Sampson. Assemblyman Sampson.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. It gives me great pleasure to join the debate this afternoon in my capacity as the proud representative of the electoral district of Bon Accord and Crown Point. Madam Presiding Officer, permit me to thank the Secretary of the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport for having the foresight to initiate this conversation today. Thank you, Secretary Baines, for this timely, relevant, well-presented and well-articulated motion. Big up your whole self. Madam Presiding Officer, this motion is indeed a critical one as we collectively work toward becoming the greatest little island on the planet. This quest cannot be achieved overnight, and it definitely cannot be achieved without acknowledging and accounting for the different needs of the electoral districts throughout Tobago. Madam Presiding Officer, each area representative has been elected by the people of the district to serve them with distinction. A major aspect of proper representation is meeting the people at the point of their needs. Unfortunately, our current method of meeting those needs simply does not work well. For the simplest of things, we have to go through the relevant divisions to remedy problems. Such issues that can and should be quickly rectified can take inordinately long periods of time, as they often have to join the queue of things that are on the agenda of the respective division. This practice is burdensome, onerous, and oftentimes just plain tiresome. If I need a dustbin, I had to call Dr. Fate. If I need a basketball net, I had to call WASP. If an elderly villager house needs a few boards replaced, I had to call YT. This simply cannot continue as is. To overcome these operational hurdles, we have to become creative. Madam Presiding Officer, allow me to also look at this form from another angle. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines empowerment as the granting of the power, right, or authority to perform various acts or duties. The greatest little island begins and ends with great people, and by extension, communities being empowered to do great things. This important level of empowerment is often overlooked. Our residents, village councils, cultural clubs, community-based NGOs, churches, and grassroots organizations need to be empowered within our communities, something which we all will agree upon. Yes. Madam Presiding Officer, we on this side have always been aware that community empowerment is fundamentally important. As a matter of fact, one of our campaign promises speaks to empowering our communities through direct district funding. We know and understand that the communities themselves are aware of their particular needs and challenges. I listened to Minority One as he made mention of the 10 million campaign promises. However, our present financial reality does not allow for funding to each community in the quantum that we would have liked. But as we like to say, drop does full bucket. And from my perspective, little is much when God is in it, something that the minority leader and the organization he represents know nothing about. 150,000 can do more than what was done for 21 years under the organization he represents. Madam Presiding Officer, the electoral district of Bon Accord and Crown Point overflows with love,
please,
for our fellow men. In fact, many of the initiatives and projects born out of my office are kindly sponsored by community businesses and generous residents. While this signals the willingness of residents and business owners to fulfill their social responsibility, it sometimes limits the amount of persons that could be impacted by these community initiatives. This funding in my community will result in greater community buy-in, most definitely encourage the already present spirit of volunteerism. Madam Presiding Officer, could you imagine the joy on the face of the elderly citizens in my district whose quality of life could be improved if materials to effect repairs on their homes could be purchased by this funding, and together with the volunteer carpenters, masons, laborers, their homes are fixed. Could we dare to imagine the little boy or little girl who has a passion for a sport that can be nurtured because we have funding available to purchase the equipment needed to hone their skills, along with the volunteer coaches and sportsmen in the community that will guide and help them along? What about the books and other resources that can be purchased for the Plan Center in our community to assist with reading and general literacy for our struggling children? These are but a few of many areas that can be impacted in my electoral district by making this funding available to communities. Madam Presiding Officer, as we all know, transparency and accountability are hallmarks of good governance. This administration has always been committed to implementing the necessary measures to ensure that proper governmental practices are upheld. As such, we need a clear, well-thought-out policy guiding direct district funding. One that takes into consideration, among other things, proper procurement practices, monitoring and evaluation, as well as implementation planning for projects proposed by each district. Madam Presiding Officer, we are not a team that strives to unfairly delegate funding to districts. This policy transcends partisan politics to ensure that each district has an equitable distribution of funding. I wish to urge those on the other side not to allow this motion to be mired and shaped by petty party politics. It is important that we place the interests of the people of Tobago above personal or political interests. Madam Presiding Officer, as I seek to end my maiden contribution, I express my profound blessing upon my life, and as I continue to serve with distinction and class as desired by him. I wish to thank the Chief Secretary, the Honorable Farley Chavez Augustine, for the opportunity to serve Tobago. I wish to thank the persons in my electoral district for bestowing the confidence in me and giving me the opportunity to serve, not only the electoral district, but the people of Tobago. Your love, encouragement, and support continues to strengthen me as I grow on this journey. I urge all of us to do the necessary introspection and take the necessary action to ensure that we play our respective roles in making the Tobago dream a reality. I thank you. Yes.